Every time I would look out the window of a Mumbai public train, I would see people defecating along the tracks. I later learned that 50% of Indians didn't have a toilet, and what's worse is 70% of India's wastewater doesn't get treated. Look at the kind of toilets people are using. My name is Nidhi, and with our company, RevoLOOtion, we want to solve sanitation, and we want to protect our oceans in doing so. RevoLOOtion sells private, no-flush composting toilets with urine and wash water diversion. Once a month, we collect the waste and bring it to a central processing facility for final treatment and potentially selling it for additional revenue. We sell our toilets for about $400, which is less than half the cost of installing flush toilets, our closest competitor. Unlike flush toilets, RevoLOOtion's toilets don't require a water or a sewage connection, which makes them super easy to install and require no permission from landlords, neighbors, or any of the like. Our initial market is going to be urban families in my hometown of Mumbai. They are part of the burgeoning middle class who have TVs, cell phones, often even washing machines, but have had to rely on unhygienic community toilets or no toilets at all. In India, there are 15 million households that have water and electricity, but that don't have toilets. If we reach just 9% of this market, we can make $500 million. So far, I'll leave it there. So far, we've really deeply understood our sanitation market and the diverse players involved in the field. We've built a first prototype, and we're in the process of partnering with WaterAid India, who's completed a pilot for the past year on urban composting toilets. RevoLOOtion is supported by mentors, advisors, and volunteers wherever we lack the skills and experience between me and my co-founder. For example, a sanitation entrepreneur in Kenya, or my friend who grew up in an urban slum in Mumbai. As for my background, I'm a former chemical engineer, a current MBA MA student at Wharton, and I've worked with a sanitation startup before. I have an immense amount of passion for solving this problem from living poor sanitation experiences before this. I guess I'm trying to say I'm qualified, and I won't stop until we're number one at number two. Thank you.
Judges, questions? Who would like to start?
Okay, well, I have the microphone, so. You say that there's a urine diversion. Where does the urine go?
A lot of the houses we visited over the summer had a pipe for water and non-solid waste. So for now, that's what we're thinking. Alternatively, we can also collect it in some kind of gallon and then just dump it. Most of this waste right now is going into an open sewer, so we're doing better.
You mentioned you have a prototype.
Yeah.
How much time and money do you need to take it from prototype to commercial product?
So we built our prototype for about $120 this summer. We're in the process of building a second version to install the urine and wash water diversion. Assuming we can build, let's say we build it for $120, I would probably want to do a pilot of at least 10 to 20 of our toilets. And then some of the money would also need to go into flights. By May of 2017, I'd be able to pilot.
So a few years ago, Bill Gates had a huge challenge, reinvent the toilet, right? How do you compare, I mean, to those companies that are already out there and successful, such as the one which I love is called the Crapper, but what's the advantage?
Absolutely. So we're going after urban families in India, which is a market that people haven't tapped into. I mentioned that the only other option they have is flush toilets. most people are going after the rural problem. And the other advantage is also that we're going after a market that can actually pay and doesn't need to be triggered to want sanitation. They already recognize, because of the fact that I mentioned they're defecating along train tracks, that they need a toilet. And in some cases, they even had looked into installing one. So this woman, Shahida, that I met, said that it would have cost her 50,000 rupees or $800 to get all the toilet installed, the piping and everything installed, and she couldn't do it at the end of the day because her landlord wouldn't give her permission to do it. So we have a very tailor-made product for our market.
One additional question. Often there are pathogens associated with human feces, and you mentioned that this material would be collected. Will there be a fee for collecting it, and how do you? What's the outcome of the resulting waste material? That is there another market, another product?
Yeah, thank you. So we would like to institute some kind of nominal fee, but we haven't tested that part out yet. Right now, our focus is really just getting people to buy and use the toilets, recognizing that that's a challenge in itself. And the second part of your question, if you don't mind repeating.
What was the pathogen? I mean, how do you deal with it while they're collecting it, so exposure or whatever?
Yeah, so the toilet that we have is going to be such that the receptacle that is collected gets covered up, so you're not exposed to it. And initially, my plan is to just do it myself in order to show people that it's safe or to ensure its safety, and then hire people to do it. I will, absolutely, and a mask. And I'll give it to my workers, too.
So it's obviously a big public health issue in big cities with the situation you described. Is there no movement by the local municipalities to try to develop a conventional sewer system that would be a big competitor with yours?
So the community toilet that I showed you in the beginning is what most people have as an option. That's really what the municipality maybe goes for. There's a political problem here because a lot of these settlements are illegal. So the municipality either doesn't want to recognize them, finds it too difficult, and there's a number of things. So without going into that, the problem is also that it's just too crowded. You can't build, I mean, in the same way that when you do utility work on the roads here, it becomes such a nightmare. Imagine 1,000 people living on a very dense area. You just can't get underneath. And then what then? I mentioned that 70% of India's wastewater is untreated. So fine, you build it, but then what are you doing with it? It's an old system, and I think, well, my strong belief is that even in the US, this wastewater treatment isn't an environmentally friendly or a economically feasible situation as we try to make sure that the 2.5 billion people in the world get toilets.
We have 17 seconds left.
So the prototype, how long is going to be the design of the toilet? Because the one that you showed seemed to have more of kind of a wooden frame, and I wouldn't imagine that would last too long.
Yeah, it was just to see, the purpose of that prototype was to understand the costs and the building process.
That's it. Thank
okay.
you.
Thanks.
Big hand for Nidhi Shah. Thank you. Great job. Yeah.